My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen are two highly acclaimed series, so why not compare them both? Now, if we're going to be comparing both animes, I believe we should start off with the plot. Because the plot is one of the most important aspects of the show, and without the plot, you really wouldn't even have anything to base the show off of. So, we're going to start there. Now, the plot of My Hero Academia is one that a lot of people are familiar with, and it revolves around the fact that we live in a hero world-based society. And with that hero world-based society, everybody is born with a quirk. Some quirks can be good, some quirks can be bad, but everybody more or less is born with a quirk, except a few chosen people that really don't end up being born with one. It's more of a genetic thing more than like a spiritual or like outer extraterrestrial sort of thing. But just know that more or less everyone has a quirk. And in this quirk-based society, right, basically everybody, literally everybody, can sign up to go to this school known as UA Academy, where it's the top pro hero school, where if you want to be a pro hero, is like your career when you grow up, that's where you're gonna go. And our main character, Deku Midoriya, he wants to go to that school despite not having a quirk. Now, the special thing about Deku is that he's hella smart, he's hella brave, and even though he doesn't have powers, he's still a hero, and that's what's an important aspect of his character. Until, of course, he gets powers. But since Deku doesn't have powers at the beginning of the story, he has to study extra hard in order to get into UA, which is literally a pro hero school, and the fact that he's able to do that based off his brain alone means that when he gets powers, he's gonna be one of the greatest, if not the best. But we will touch more upon who Deku is and how things work with him later on when we get to the character aspect of this video. Now, for Jujutsu Kaisen's story, right, it's a little bit harder to explain purely due to the fact that it's more like character-based than society-based like My Hero is, but I'll do my best to explain it going forward. So, the plot of Jujutsu Kaisen is basically we have this main character known as Yuji, and he's a regular student. But his body is a lot stronger than others, leading him to, for some reason, able to eat the finger of a whole cursed spirit. Now, listen, I know it sounds weird, right? But for some reason, his body is able to be this vessel of this cursed spirit known as Sukuna, who was like the demon cursed spirit king or whatever, the most powerful cursed spirit to ever exist. And right now, this cursed spirit known as Sukuna is basically split apart like body wise, and all of his body parts, or all parts of him, are split apart by fingers. And those fingers are basically scattered around, causing really strong cursed spirits to pop up that can potentially harm Yuji's friends. So without thinking, he basically eats one of the fingers, not knowing if he could be a vessel, not knowing if he could kill him, just trying to protect his friends. And this leads Yuji into joining the Jujutsu Sorcerers, a group of people that fight against cursed spirits in order to keep the world safe. It's almost like this undercover Men in Black group, but it's for like teenagers and high schoolers and adults that basically want to be Jujutsu Sorcerers. Now, without spoiling too much, honestly, I feel like the winner of this round with the anime versus with My Hero versus Jujutsu Kaisen, basically, it kind of depends on who does more with the plot that they have, right? With My Hero's plot being a lot more simple and wide open, making it easier for like more to come in, versus Jujutsu Kaisen's being a lot more tight-knit and a lot more complicated due to the fact of like how highly detailed and how like, you know, complex the plot can get at certain points when it comes to like certain characters and their relationships and all that. So honestly, for me, not to be biased or anything, but I want to give this to My Hero Academia purely due to the fact like this is a plot where you can take it and you can like apply different spin-off stories, and you can like have a whole open world where maybe hero society in Japan is like having a downfall or whatever, but over in America it's good. But due to it being like all the way on the other side of the world or whatever, like My Hero is able to still have that open world aesthetic where maybe if things go wrong in Japan, they can just head over to America. And I really like that because it leaves a lot more space for more ideas and more different heroes and just a huge like array of characters that we may have never gotten introduced to due to the fact like it's such a closed, tight-knit plot. Now, that's not to say I don't like the Jujutsu Kaisen plot. I just think it's a lot more personal, and I feel like you can do a lot more with the My Hero story than you could with Jujutsu Kaisen, due to the fact that one is open and one is closed. Now, that's all I'll really say on this part, due to the fact that I know Jujutsu Kaisen fans are about to flood my comment section saying, how dare you say the My Hero plot is better. But before you guys get on my head, at least wait until we get to the character section, because I have a lot to say about that, and I'm basically at the end of the plot section, so on to the characters. Now, in regards to both of the characters from Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia, it is honestly easier for me to say that Jujutsu Kaisen does overall have the better cast in terms when it comes to writing their characters. Now, this reflects back on the point that I brought up when I was comparing the plots, right? When I talked about how open and how wide array and how it allows for more situations and more things to happen within the My Hero Academia plot, that also leaves a lot of room for a lot of characters to lack the spotlight and lack a lot of development. Now, that's not to say that a lot of the side characters in My Hero Academia, especially when it comes to a lot of people in the class 1A and a couple people in class 1B, and even a lot of the villains do get their spotlight when it comes to that. But in terms of Jujutsu Kaisen, right, everybody, and I mean everybody, kind of feels like a main character in a sense, and that's probably for me why Jujutsu Kaisen kind of takes it when it comes to writing characters, okay? Because with how personal and how minimized the story feels, when it feels like it just all centers around Yuji, Jujutsu sorcerers, and all of them in Japan, in comparison to My Hero Academia, it gives them a lot more time to write all of those characters as if they're their own singular entity, if you know what I mean. Like Satoru Gojo, you could write a story purely about him. Fushiguro, you could write a story purely about him. Yuji, it's already about him. It's kind of easier to say, with My Hero Academia, right, with everything, just purely being so wide as it is, right, and, with how, lack of development that some characters has, it kind of feels like if we wrote a story purely about some of the My Hero Academia characters and gave them their own little side thing to focus on, that it's honestly hard to really care about anything they go through, because they don't have enough development for us to care. But if we were to get side stories for each and every Jujutsu Kaisen character, I can honestly say I would be way more entertained than if it was side stories about the My Hero Academia characters because of their lack of development. And honestly, this is where it comes as a blessing and a curse, because where My Hero Academia exceeds at having the more open plot where you can add in so much stuff and have a way more plot that's easier to work with and way more fun to use, Jujutsu Kaisen has a way more personal plot that, even though it's not as easy to use and as easy to work with, and it's not as open and more fun, it's way easier to work on characters than it is to work on a wide plot, because each character gets their spotlight, which in terms of My Hero Academia, the world is more so easier to look at and focus on instead of each and every personal character. Because outside of My Hero Academia, right, who do you care about outside of the top 10 pro heroes, Deku, Todoroki, Bakugo, and Endeavor, you know? Of course, some people in class 1A, you might have your little favorites or whatever, but how much do we truly know about them outside of the main story that we've been focusing on for so long? And Jujutsu Kaisen, though, we truly do, within the main story, get a lot of focus on all of the side characters to the point where they really feel like main characters. I truly care about each and every one of them to the point, man, if one of them were to die, I might genuinely be hurt. But if you were to kill some low-ranking 1A student, and that's in the main class, by the way, if he was to die, I'll just be like, dang, you killed a kid, but I didn't get no development, so I could truly care less. And that's where Jujutsu Kaisen truly surpasses My Hero Academia. They write their characters better. And honestly, when we compare the growth of Deku and Yuji, I honestly feel like Yuji's growth feels a lot more apparent to me. They're both characters that have grown a lot from chapter 1. But I honestly see Yuji's growth is a lot more in my face and a lot more personal to me, you know? I feel like it's a lot more evident in the fact that Yuji has truly grown as a person from chapter 1, and Deku certainly has as well, but I feel like Yuji's growth in the short amount of time that it has been kind of feels a lot more realistic in a sense. I don't know if that's the right word, but I honestly feel like Yuji's growth has genuinely been displayed to us a lot better. While Deku's growth is gradual over time, but it's honestly working for him. Like I'm a fan of Deku's growth, and I'm a fan of Yuji's growth. But honestly, in this term, like when they're writing the character, I really feel like Yuji's growth is a lot better. But honestly, that's all I really have to say in regards to how I feel about the characters, and without further ado, let's cut to our closing thoughts. Now, in regards to my closing thoughts on both series, I honestly feel like where one series falls, the other series succeeds. And that's honestly what makes this series more or less so equal when it comes to how both of them are written. They're both written by two different authors that are both honestly doing their best and giving us some of the best stories in current modern Shonen Jump. And I would honestly love to thank both Horikoshi and both Gege, because they're writing gas purely week after week. It's honestly hard to decide what chapter I like more, especially with them going back to back to back like this. And I honestly appreciate both authors, bro. But at the end of the day, I'm really just a piece of that likes to read anime and manga and review it on a YouTube channel. So I don't know if my opinion truly counts to you guys like that. But just know that both of these series are good in their own aspects. Like, they don't really have to be compared like this. I just wanted to make this video to kind of shut up all of the he say, she say, what series is better, because they're both extremely different and it's kind of hard to compare. But that's all I really have to say in regards to comparing both My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen. I hope nobody gets too mad, but if you do, I'll be glad to debate you down in the comment section below. And thank you for 2.6k, but please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, because we're trying to hit 10k by the end of the year. But my name is Tine Pizza, and I will see you pizza people on the other side of the slice. We move.